at the very end of an interview I did about cancer for Fox News Radio, the host mentioned the name of my latest comic self-help memoir and did a double take. My guest today was CJ Grace, author of My Wild Ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity. What's that all about? He remarked, and he said, what does one have to do with the other? Well, you know, research and personal experience have shown me that there's a very strong connection in both directions. Breast cancer often follows or is followed by infidelity and marital breakup. How do I know? Well, I've lived it. You see, I was a journalist with the BBC in Britain, and then I got a transfer to work for China Radio International in Beijing. And there I had a fairy tale falling in love with an American. Our 25th wedding anniversary was the best one ever, spent in Hawaii. Little did I know that just 2 years later, both my marriage and my health would be in tatters. My husband was openly carrying on an affair with a woman half his age, whom he refused to give up, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was a double whammy that left me reeling. I'm a 2-time breast cancer survivor with a mutated BRCA gene that makes me more susceptible to cancer. But I didn't want to take on the cancer victim role. I wanted to be a victor rather than a victim. So how does infidelity lead to breast cancer? Finding out that your partner has been unfaithful creates a number of different kinds of stress, and numerous studies have shown that stress is a major cause of disease, in particular cancer. There's the emotional stress of feeling betrayed, which can be somewhat like a bereavement, as it's the death of your relationship as you knew it. Then there's the stress of potentially having to move out of your home. Then there's the financial stress of probably getting divorced when you have to split up all your assets. And all these factors create the stress of insecurity and feeling overwhelmed. In the research I did for my comedy self-help book, Adulterer's Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not, that was published in 2016, I came across several women who developed breast cancer shortly after discovering their husbands had been cheating. Now, what about breast cancer leading to infidelity and marital breakup? Well, when women go through cancer treatment, sex is often the last thing on their minds, with their marriages becoming celibate. And this can lead to their husbands having extramarital affairs or leaving the marriage entirely. And sadly, research has shown that men are far more likely to cheat on and or dump wives with serious illness than the other way round. A 2001 study of more than 500 married patients led by Michael Glantz, who's a neuro-oncologist at the Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix, it showed that female cancer patients were at a considerably higher risk of marital problems. And women with malignant brain cancers, for example, were 8 times more likely to undergo separation or divorce than were men with brain tumors. And the rate for women diagnosed with systemic cancer was an astounding 12 times higher. And a follow-up study Michael Glantz published in 2009 showed even starker results. Does this happen because women are more equipped to take on the role of caregivers than are men? At least according to this study, the sicker and higher maintenance the patients, the more likely the husbands were to walk away, despite that in sickness and in health marriage vow. The results of this research correlated with personal stories I heard about cancer and infidelity. So how did I deal with both breast cancer and an unfaithful husband? I developed a 6-part plan of action, and you can read about it in detail on my website, cjauthor.com. But in a nutshell, it's about finding confidants and mentors with your best interests at heart, building a community of friends, old and new, taking good care of your body. That means eating a healthy diet, getting enough sleep, and exercising. And for me, outdoor exercise has always been the best antidepressant. And I was even doing it all the way through my cancer treatment, radiation and chemo. I still did all my exercise. The next point is finding your passion. That's a great thing to do. You find an activity that makes your heart sing, maybe art, music, writing, or volunteering for a cause you believe in. Then there's laughter therapy. And lastly, my last point was trying to become more mindful. Living in the present is important because yesterday's gone, tomorrow is fiction until it happens, so now is all we have. And there were 3 mottos that I took to heart. Number 1, after infidelity or betrayal of any kind, the best revenge is to get past the need for revenge. It's a toxic emotion. And I wanted to put my life energy into planning how to move forward rather than plotting vengeance. And when you're going through cancer treatment, the last thing you need is churning about revenge. You need to put your life energy into recovery and not revenge. Number two, information is power. Whether investigating treatment options or finding out about my rights as regards divorce, I embraced my inner anal journalist to be fully informed before making decisions. And number three, if you don't laugh, you'll cry, and I'd much rather laugh. So I tried to find absurd humor in every situation I was faced with. Well, I'm a humorist, but also a traditionally trained journalist. So when I wrote my new self-help memoir, My Wild Ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity, it had to not only be funny, but also well-researched and hard-hitting. So I bring up serious issues, but there's always a humorous angle, like the fact that right now in front of you, I am totally and utterly braless. Why? One of the many books I read for my research was Dressed to Kill, The Link Between Breast Cancer and Bras. Great title. The authors present compelling evidence that the link between bras and breast cancer is stronger than that between smoking and lung cancer. Wow. Sadly, mainstream cancer groups haven't accepted this, pointing to just one study done in 2014 that showed no link. But it only looked at postmenopausal women in whom, because of survival bias, the damaging effects of bras were much weaker, and it had no control group of women who didn't wear bras. That's like studying the link between smoking and cancer without including any non-smokers in your research. You might be interested to know that October 13th, which is coming up tomorrow, is International No Bra Day. That was created to create increased awareness of breast cancer and encourage women to do regular self-exams and screenings. Well, I have to tell you, I celebrate No Bra Day 365 days a year. So here's my bra, and this is what I'm going to do with it. Throw it away. That's what I recommend that all of you do with your bras. Well, another point I want to bring up. In May 2013, movie star Angelina Jolie went public with news that she'd undergone a prophylactic double mastectomy based on a positive BRCA test. Maybe I'm biased, but my personal view is that her announcement did scare a lot of women into unnecessary surgeries. And I have to say, some of my friends, and maybe my surgeon too, thought I was completely nuts to turn down mastectomies and go for lumpectomies both times I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm happy with my decision, but who knows, perhaps my tombstone will read, "Here lies CJ Grace because she refused to lop off her boobs." Breast reconstruction, however, though, can cause all kinds of problems, and many women now choose to go flat after mastectomies, as breast implant illness is very real. Nicole Deruda's Facebook support group for breast implant illness to date has more than 180,000 members. Despite a biased new industry-funded study that tries to imply a big factor is that women who complain about implant illness are just neurotic. Seriously, that study is so bad that it's good in a Monty Python kind of way. So when Angelina Jolie's BRCA gene story appeared in the press, I felt there should have been much more coverage of the ovarian cancer risks faced by those with BRCA gene mutations, rather than focusing only on breast cancer and prophylactic mastectomies. Jolie's mother did get breast cancer, but she actually died from ovarian cancer. I was advised to have my ovaries removed, but I waited till after menopause to avoid being slammed into it artificially. I chose to have just the ovaries and fallopian tubes removed. That operation, for some reason, is known as an oophorectomy, rather than the full hysterectomy that some BRCA gene carriers choose to undergo. I didn't feel that that operation was necessary for me, and I thought it might have more potential side effects. Breast cancer is the most common female cancer worldwide. In the United States and Britain, for example, 1 out of every 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. According to the American Cancer Society, the 5-year survival statistics for early stage non-metastatic breast cancer are close to 100%. But that being said, cancer is always a crapshoot. I'm not a doctor, so I'd never want to tell someone else how they should deal with their cancer. But that didn't stop all kinds of people from bombarding me with unsolicited advice. Some insisted the chemo and radiation I underwent was toxic and wouldn't work. Others declared the alternative therapies I chose to do as well were pure quackery. Did I make the right decisions? All I can say is, to quote Monty Python, I'm not dead yet. So if I could wave a magic wand and make the cancer and infidelity never have happened, would I do it? You might be surprised to hear me say, no, I don't regret having gone through the experience, bleak and difficult though it was. Regret is not about the past, it's about the present. And I'm very happy with my life as it is now. And if I hadn't gone through the past exactly as it was, my here and now would be different. Both my wild ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity, and my first book, Adulterer's Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not, examine how to deal with adversity by using it as a catalyst to raise you up rather than be crushed. So my aim is to inspire ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances to find ways to make their lives fulfilling, however long or short their time on this earth might be. I'm CJ Grace, and you can visit my website, cjauthor.com, that's cjauthor.com, to access various resources to help you cope with breast cancer and infidelity, including 2 free PDFs. And my social media handle is CJ Grace Author. So that's how you find out more about me, and I hope you found my presentation useful today. And I would like to thank Gigi and her team for organizing this breast cancer conference and inviting me to be a speaker today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And CJ, I received a copy of your books. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And so for those of you that are not aware, the books are called Adulterer's Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not. And then the second book is My Wild Ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity. I highly recommend both. Check those out. Thank you, CJ.